Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to eliminate the sway in your golf swing. All right guys, so let's talk about the sway and how to eliminate the sway in your golf swing. Before we get started, I want to let you guys know that our membership site is up and live. We'll put a link up here in the top right-hand corner for you guys to click on it. The membership site, what is it? What do you get? Well, we shot over 100 videos for the beginning of the site, and we're going to add more in as we go, but the videos are more in depth, right? So we add on to whatever the topics that we're covering here. We can only talk about so much in 5, 10, 15 minutes. We go much more in depth within those videos. We have live lessons on there. You get to see some of my online swing analysis. You get the access to the Facebook community. You get the monthly live Q&A. There's a lot more stuff there for you guys that want it that we can't put all here on YouTube. So check that out. There will be a link in the description as well. So let's talk about a sway movement. So let's define a sway first, and then we'll talk about how to fix. I have a couple drills here for you. So a sway motion, if I take my normal setup position, a sway motion would be defined to me by too much movement, specifically of your lower body. Kind of look at the hip region for this. Too much movement of your hip and lower body to the right or away from the target, right? So if I were to make a normal golf swing, a sway motion would look something like this here. And a normal golf swing motion would look something like that. Okay, so a sway to the right. Now, why is a sway bad, or why is that going to cause you issues in the first place? The biggest thing that a sway does typically is it'll lead to contact issues and a lot of times direction control issues. If I were to make a motion where I shift my hips and my body too far to the right like this, I move sort of the center of mass of my body and lower portion too far to the right, I have to do a lot to get back to impact from there. Are there certain people who can get away with more movement to the right? And a couple players I've seen that are good, yes, but across the board, when you see someone with a sway motion, why you go about fixing that in the first place is they'll usually have some contact issues. A lot of times that sway motion will lead to a steepening of the downswing and over the top motion. So some of you certainly will have this problem. Now, the first thing you have to understand with a sway motion before we get into the drills how to fix is that the sway versus the turn are sort of equal and opposite, or two different pieces, meaning every person I see who sways to the right or shifts to the right this way, hip kicks out, has essentially no turn of their lower body. And conversely, every golfer I see who has a good amount of hip turn to the right never sways all that much. So I want you to just kind of think about that conceptually, that if you're someone who struggles with a sway, watch that motion again when I do it. My right hip goes to the right. My belt buckle typically essentially just stays straight towards the target. There's no hip turn there, right? Which presets usually a pretty vertical backswing motion and a steep downswing motion. The first thing you need to do if you're going to fix a sway that's going to be accompanied by any of the drills we do is you have to understand that for every sort of inch you don't want to go to the right this way, you've got to add an inch of hip turn. Every single person watching this video who sways, if you're going to fix it, you need to feel like you turn your hips a lot more than normal. How much should you turn the hips in the backswing? We all use this sort of the old adage of the hips turn 45 degrees, the shoulders turn 90. That's a good enough reference point to start with. What does that mean? That means if I'm looking at a dress and I put a club across my hips or a stick or something like that, I should turn my hips to the point where the club is roughly 45 degrees relative to my target line, right? So that's quite a bit. My belt buckle from here would turn to the point where it's about 45 degrees back this way. That's how much hip turn. Well, Eric, that feels like a ton of hip turn. Well, yeah, if you have none to start with, that's going to feel like a ton. Or, hey, that feels like less than my normal. Well, maybe you have too much hip turn, okay? 45 is a good reference point. If you want to get rid of a sway, you have to add turn. Now, I'll show you some drills and we'll go through how to feel those and a couple of drills that'll help you get rid of it. So drill number one to fix the sway. Now, I have an alignment rod back here that I put behind me, and I put it in the ground, angled it at about 45 degrees to the ground. What's most important when you set this up if you're out on grass, and I'll show you some alternatives, is that I'm gonna put the stick at a height where the top part of the stick is roughly in line with my hip height. So it can be about pocket height, or upper part of the thigh will work fine. Really anything kind of, you know, above the knee, mid thigh, or to your hip will work fine with this. That's part number one, how high it goes. And then part number two is how far away from you do you put it? Well, I'm essentially going to tell you that I don't think there's any need for your hip to move to the right at all. Not an inch, not a half an inch, not a quarter of an inch, 0 inches to the right, I think would be appropriate. So if I put this in, I'm going to put it to the point where it's not quite touching my leg. Could I? Could I put it where it touches my leg and turn off of it? You sure could. I'm going to put it just outside of my leg, maybe about a half of an inch. And the goal here is for you to learn how to turn back to the top without bumping into the stick, right? So hopefully you can see that okay. If I go to the top and I do a sway motion, I'm going to bump into the stick, right? That would be no good. If I go to the top and I do a proper backswing turn, I'm gonna not bump into the stick. In fact, I might even create a little bit of space there. So this would be drill number one. The idea when you make a backswing turn, if you were to record yourself and sort of draw a line down your leg or across your hip, the idea would be, in terms of great ball striking, your hip would stay on that line as you turn, would be fine, or the hip would come off of that line slightly. You'd create a little bit of space. And if you don't believe that that's new concepts, go here on YouTube and watch golf swings and watch their hip motion. Draw the line and watch where they turn, right? So basically every one that I watch on there stays on that line or turns a little bit within it. And I'm talking like 98% of good swings I've ever seen. So this is drill number one. Stick in the ground, make some swings up to the top where you don't bump into it. That's it, okay? Now, that's just to gain a feel. Again, if you look this way, you're gonna feel like you're turning your hips a lot. What you have to watch when you do these drills is some of you, in an effort to turn and not sway to the right, are gonna over exaggerate. You're gonna try and turn your hips a lot, and your hips are gonna move too far towards the target. So you created too much space. There's too much weight or pressure on my left foot at the top. The goal here, when I go to the top, is I turn slightly with the inside of that, but I still have the majority of my pressure on the inside part of my right foot. How much pressure will depend on the person, but definitely more pressure on my right foot than my left foot while still turning inside. That's a key point here. There's still more pressure on my right foot than my left while I turn inside of the stick. Create your own feels with it. These kind of drills, I say all the time, you get very little return on investment when you do drills without a golf ball. It's appropriate in the beginning parts of learning for you to create a feel, especially if it's exaggerated, different than normal. And that's fine in the beginning, but if you're gonna put this in and do this at home, that's cool, but you gotta get a golf ball in there sooner rather than later. Okay to hit a wiffle or foam ball, but eventually you wanna get to the point where you have a golf ball down here and you're hitting small little swings with that stick in. Doesn't matter how you hit those in the beginning. If your goal of that practice session is to miss the stick and fix the sway, you judge yourself on if you missed the stick and fixed the sway. That's it. So this is drill number one. I'm going to give you another version of the same drill, and I'll show you different ways to do the same thing. So drill number two here to do the same thing. Obviously, this is a chair, not a stick. I just switched the two out. Any object that you would use that could be in your way will work fine here. So I have a chair here. You can also use a bag. You can use a wall. I'll show you that in a minute. And they're all drills to do the same thing. Any drill to fix a sway, you should have an object outside of your right hip. That's kind of all this deal is, right? So I set up, some of you can be like, hey, I don't have a stick. I want to practice this somewhere else. I have mats, whatever. This is option number two. I have a chair here. How close will I set that up? I set it up the same distance as the stick. This one I have maybe an inch away. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to do a big turn to the top, let my belt buckle turn, kind of pull my right hip back is what some people feel, where I'm at least an inch, maybe a little bit more. And again, I'm turning without my hips going way towards the target. I'm turning while keeping slightly more pressure on the inside part of my right foot. When I say slightly more pressure on the inside part of my right foot, I don't care if it's 50-50. The point is I don't want you way over here, okay? The goal is keep this hip inside of there, head stays somewhat centered, pretty neutral. Same deal, do some without a ball, get a ball in as soon as possible. Drill number two, same deal as drill number one, just different way to do it. All right, guys, so drill number 3, right, same thing. Golf bag, not a chair, not a stick. Different way to do the same deal. Everyone has a golf bag there with them. Set it up the same way, inch inside, make a backswing motion, come back down. Watch where you put the golf bag so you don't hit it. The other ones obviously will be out of your way. Same thing when you put that stick in, make sure it's not in front of you to the point where you'll hit this. So that's 3 different ways to do the same thing. There's no other fancy drills to fix a sway, right? You don't need to do anything else. You need to put an object outside your right hip. You need to feel more turn. You need to do it without going excessively forward. I've probably seen 1,000 sways in my life. They all get fixed by the same thing. It's just correlating feels, giving yourself enough feedback and doing it for long enough. Okay, that will work. Now, the question then becomes, how often do you do it? How many reps, how many times per week, or when do you sort of switch it up? And my philosophy on that is you do it, like I said, without a ball, only as much as necessary. Get a ball in as soon as possible. Most of these changes are more about frequency than duration, which means you have 7 days a week, just like me, right? It's how many of those 7 days do you do the drill? I'd rather you do swings, 20 or 30 a day, every other day, right? So if you did 4, which I know 4 times 2 is not 7, but close every other day, let's say you did 50 swings a day, 4 days a week, that's 200 swings. That gain you'd get from those 200 by doing it 4 days would be far greater than doing 1 day where you hit 200 balls or 200 swings, or even 2 days where you did 100 each. The frequency of learning a new habit is far more powerful. The sort of compounding interest you get on that learning is better with frequency. So more often, less reps is fine. What's the fewest amount of reps you can do and still get a gain? Probably different per person. Anything less than 20, I don't know about that. I'd probably say 30 to 50 is a nice low range. 50 to 100 would be a nice medium range. Anything to me kind of over 50, 100's a lot, right? If you did 50 reps and you're not getting it in 50 for that day, you're probably not doing this correctly. So more frequency better than duration. Do it as long as the feedback dictates. What does that mean? That means I told you should be recording yourself or something like that, or having someone help you. You do the drill until you can't get it wrong, right? You don't do the drill until you do it once and then you pull it away and say, hey, I've got to feel I'm good. That's not how anything works. And this is no different. You do a drill until you can't get it wrong. So if you're someone who's been swaying for 20 years and you do this drill for 1 month, do you think that 1 month of reps outweighs that 20 years? Obviously it does not, okay? While in 1 month you can make some nice changes, are you gonna own it on a golf course when it matters in a month? No, you're not. So maybe that month you can do it, you can record a little dance move there, but when you go on the golf, you need to do it as maintenance, is where I'm going, okay? So maybe in the beginning you do it for 50 swings 4 times a week. Over time you do it for 20 swings twice a week. It's just a maintenance thing, vitamins, brushing your teeth, taking a shower. So that's the deal with how to practice it. 3 different ways to do the same thing. That will fix your sway, I guarantee it. If you don't, I'd like to throw a money back guarantee on that, but we're not selling this as free. But if you do this and you have a sway that doesn't fix it, send me a message and there's something else that's going on. So do these. Let me know if you guys have any questions. As always, leave me a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and click the like button down below. Click the notification bell if you haven't, and please subscribe if you haven't already. And once again, just a quick reminder, our membership site is up and live. What you're gonna get with the membership site basically is more exclusive lessons. We go into more detail in the videos there than we do in these videos here on YouTube. Obviously, there's only so much time we can do here with the videos, so there'll be more content there. You'll be able to see live lessons. We have our Facebook community there. It's a lot more interaction with me and the group. Please check that out when you get some time. It's in the link in the description down below. As always, if you guys have any questions, just leave me a comment down below. Thank you. Hi, I'm Eric Cogorno. We're excited to share Cogorno Golf with you guys. Here's some of what you'll get. First, an on-demand video library of over 100 instructional videos that cover everything. I'm talking setup, backswing, downswing, impact, short game, putting, and much more. Premium members will also have access to exclusive over-the-shoulder lessons where you'll watch me working on the lesson tee one-on-one with a student live. I'll be helping students not only through mechanical elements, but also through feels and drills they'll need to improve. We're providing a wide array of content, tools, and interaction points to help you get better. Plans will be starting at $19 per month.